It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the FAU's assistant beach volleyball coach, Coach Kristi Tekavec. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching and college beach volleyball?
So my story is actually pretty silly. I played 5 years for the FAU indoor team, then I came over to the beach team. And Coach Steve he was the assistant coach at the time. He gave me like paperwork when I was finished playing for the beach team to be a practice player and come back and just be like a bigger block for the girls to be around. But the paperwork was for volunteer assistant coach. It was like the easiest way to get that done. So I signed that and ended up like I'm just not the kind of person to be somewhere like 50% of the time or give 50%. It's like either 0 or 100. So I ended up like coming to every single practice, being a practice player sometimes, but also just being like an extra set of eyes. And that turned into me driving a 12 passenger van on away tournaments and coaching the exhibition games. And just like over time I realized like this is exactly what I want to do. And just being around Coach Capri and Steve was incredible. I'd like to say that Coach Capri is a huge reason why I'm getting into coaching.
Of course, what was that experience like getting to play indoor volleyball, and also getting to play that beach volleyball?
It was awesome because after I did my 5 years on the indoor team, I wasn't quite ready to go overseas. Just dealing with like a lot of family stuff. I didn't want to go over to Europe just yet. So I thought playing beach volleyball would give me that completely different experience, but still put me in like the same sport kind of thing. So when I did that, I was like, that was the best decision I've like ever made. Beach volleyball is it's so incredibly different than indoor. It's really just a totally different sport, and it's so amusing that you can just continue to learn and learn. Like I'm still learning things today, and it's awesome.
What was that transition like for you as a player, going from beach indoor volleyball to going on the sand and playing beach volleyball?
It was really tough. Just like looking back, my entire like body type changed. Like I was able to put up like 250 on squat for like reps when I was on the indoor team because we were all about like physicality and power. And then on the beach, it's not like that. It's not about that. It's about like speed, agility, how quick can you be? Can you do this and that? And it's just I think I lost about like 15 pounds just getting into beach volleyball shape and like kind of toning up. And it was difficult because it really is a totally different sport. Like the technique and mechanics are quite different. So I think once I got that down, it was an awesome adjustment, but it does take some time because it's a lot of learning.
How was that experience like, obviously getting to put on the FAU indoor volleyball uniform along with the beach uniform?
I really feel like there's something special when you make that commitment at a high school to represent a school for the next couple of years of your life. So just being able to wear a logo with pride and know who you're representing, and it really is all about the name on the front. Like the name on the back is just ties into the whole thing, but it's not a big deal at all. So I think just comes with a lot of pride and a lot of when you have a good game and you know that you made your school proud. It's a totally different feeling. So
What were some of your playing accomplishments?
for the indoor team, I was made captain as a freshman, so I was a 5-year captain for the indoor team. I led the team in kills my freshman year. My sophomore year, I tore my labrum and had a pretty serious shoulder surgery by my junior year. Kind of sort of got rushed back in from there to play, and my shoulder was a little tweaked up. And then by my redshirt year, I broke my foot. So I had some good stuff and some bad stuff, but a lot of injuries, just trying to play through stuff and be too tough rather than just be honest about like how I was feeling. So indoor it was challenging for me. Like I had some really good moments, but I also had some really low lows.
How were you able to obviously bounce back from those injuries that you faced throughout your career?
It's weird because I feel like you learn a lot about yourself mentally just through injuries. When I tore my shoulder, I really needed a mental break from the sport. I was starting not to love it so much. So in the moment, you think like, why me? Why this? This sucks. This is so hard. But then when you take a step back from it, you really do realize that like things do happen for a reason. And when I broke my foot, I was like, oh my gosh, like I redshirted just to get hurt again. You know what I mean? In the moment, you're confused and you're frustrated. But looking back, if that never happened, then I would have never played beach volleyball and met the awesome Stephen Capri Kotowski and been, coaching like I am now. So I think just the mental maturity of, in the moment things seem really tough, but down the road, you really do end up where you're supposed to be and you go through those things because you were supposed to go through those things. I think the accepting of that is tough.
After your collegiate time playing, what was it like getting over to the coaching staff and joining the coaching staff for the beach volleyball?
Awesome. It was incredible. I'm a firm believer that like I really do want to be the coach that I always wanted. And I feel like you've got, from the time you're like an adolescent to like you're grown up, like you're around so many coaches and you learn so many different things and coaching styles. And I feel like I got to pick and choose what I did and didn't like from those coaches and kind of create, this coach that I want to be and just to further better the sport and the growth of the sport. And for me, at the beach volleyball side of things, Steve and I are all about like happiness. Like, how can the girls be happy? What do they need from us? What kind of coaches do we need to be? We're not the kind of coaches to coach based on, well, our belief system is very important, but like we adapt ourselves based on who we're coaching. Like someone's personality kind of picks and chooses what we give them. We coach based on like what motivates you in the real world versus like you will do this because this is how we do things. So I think that's another reason why we've been really successful over the last couple of years.
How have you been able to use what your playing experience playing beach volleyball and indoor to helping your coaching beach volleyball career?
Mental toughness was the biggest thing that I learned from just playing indoor. There's a huge difference between indoor and beach because when you're playing indoor, like you've got a team full of girls that like you have to communicate. There's so many more people on the court with you, and then with beach volleyball, like it's just you and one other person. So I think if you can bring that communication to the beach, just that over communicating, it just makes your life so much easier. But other than that, just absolutely mental toughness and the ability to like stay in games and figure out how to win.
What were some of the things that you learned from legendary Coach Capri to help you in your coaching career?
This is my favorite question because I'm a firm believer that everything that the beach team stands for is everything that Capri stood for. Like her everyday fight, watching her wake up, go to chemo, and come to practice and just kick butt was like her story is just incredible. And it always felt like her fight was our fight. Like she was very about, you don't complain, you figure it out, you fall down, you get up and you work hard. No complaining, just figure out ways to win. And that's why her fight, it was really hard to like, watch her get worse because it was like all we did was see her fight in battle. So she's just such an incredible human being. It was awesome to learn from her.
What was that 2022 season like going to the NCAA Elite Eight?
That was incredible because the previous year we had won, we won conference, and for us it was just it kind of set the standard, it set the tone of excellence that we were going to continue with moving forward. And just like that season determined like what kind of team we were going to be moving forward. And like that's not just going to be, something that happened once. Like that's going to be an expectation of like excellence for us.
How was that season like, obviously setting school records for beach volleyball?
It was awesome. That year when we went to nationals and we played Stanford, it was difficult because that's when we found out that Coach Capri was getting sicker. She wasn't able to come out of the hotel room and be with us when we were playing Stanford. But just to be able to do everything for her and just bigger picture of life stuff, it just felt so amazing. It was such a different feeling. It wasn't just a win, it was like a win and like a damn, we made Capri proud. So just, moving forward, she might not physically be with us, but everything that we do as a program will always be for her.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've helped to build for the beach volleyball program?
You said, can I talk about it? Yeah. So for us, like happiness is everything. We only take on about 20 kids. We don't like to go over that because we like to pour into them from, volleyball, academics, but also mental health and nutrition and weight room stuff. And we just feel like if we're pouring into every single kid in every aspect of life, if we take on more than 20 kids, it's just not really doable. So we really, really, really do care for our kids, like full-heartedly. And it's really just me and Steve. We have a volunteer coach, her name's Maria, and she's been incredible. But just a very small staff to take care of that many kids it's been challenging, but we really, it's what we stand for. We just want everyone to be happy and to be able to enjoy the experience on the beach.
What does a typical beach volleyball match look like on the sand for you as a coach versus for your players?
So when the girls walk in through the gate, it's fun because they come in with like their hair done and like their face paint on. It's like we're war ready. And for them, and from a coaching perspective, for us, like we really preach get the confidence from practice and all of your hard work and practice and let that, translate to your gameplay. And just knowing that you're prepared should put you in a good headspace to enjoy the game, not to tense up and to like, overthink things and set standards for yourself. That is really easy as a female to, set standards on yourself and expectations. But if you just stay loose, and Steve told me this, Steve told me that you are not your one last, or you're not your last hit, you're your last 1,000 hits. So stuff like that, just realizing if you make a mistake, that's not me, next ball. And just getting the girls to put themselves in a really good headspace to be successful and learning that process from how it was when I played to how it is watching them play. It's just very similar.
What are some of your routines and rituals like now as a coach versus when you were a player?
When I was a player, we used to get really like wild up in the locker room and just kind of, just get in the headspace to go to war and to treat it like war. And I really do feel like that's probably what the girls do in their locker room. I can only assume because they're so silly and goofy that I know they can challenge that energy into competitiveness. I feel like they're probably very similar in that way.
Of course, as an alumni, what is that feeling like seeing those volleyball players get to put on that same uniform that you put on?
It's awesome. It's awesome to watch because like that decision out of high school is, it's a big decision. Like essentially, you're deciding where you're going to spend the next couple of years of your life. And our goal here is to make sure that's the right decision. Like we take our time in the recruiting process and make sure that people fit in with the culture that we're trying to build. And we just want everyone happy and to stay here for the full 4 years.
Who are some of the teams that you face in your conference?
FIU tends to be a really big rival. UAB is in our conference as well. And we just added TCU, Missouri State, Tarleton State as well. So it's gonna be a fun year.
Of course, what is that like, obviously, getting to face teams like TCU, but getting to face those non-conference teams like UCLA?
Really just it gets us ready for the NCAA tournament. Like we always hope to get back there and to be able to compete amongst the best. But it's interesting because I do feel like certain schools have, a way easier time getting the top-notch recruits. But for us, we just want to get kids that are going to work their butts off for us. And once you hit the sand, it doesn't matter, what kind of player you were in high school. It matters what kind of player you are now and what kind of, mental state you can be in when you can compete. And if you can find ways to win and be a competitor and stay mentally tough, then everyone's really the same at the end of the day. And I have a lot of faith in our girls that we can continue to upset those big teams.
How's that like, obviously, getting to compete against some of those big teams like UCLA, Oregon, Stanford?
It's fun. It's definitely fun. I feel like we tell our girls, treat it like a summer tournament. Like everyone's, just playing, no logos, no nothing, no external pressure. Don't focus on who's at the game, who's watching, what the outside circumstances are, and just focus on the ball. Focus on like one point at a time. Don't look at the score, just relax. And it tends to work. Like our girls do really good in like pressure situations. So
What does that home game atmosphere look like for FAU at their beach facility?
So for us, this past season, we tried to make it like a big beach party. Like essentially, like even on like the pro tour, like sometimes they've got, DJs and loudspeakers and it's just a good time. So we tried to get vendors out and we had like a VIP tent. We would like to do better when it comes to bringing in people to come watch our home games. And I feel like we've had a hard time spreading the word about like where we play and when we play. And we tend to only have like 2 home events a year. So for us, it's just how we can get people in and make the battle at the beach borough like a fun thing to be at. So this year we had a DJ come in and a VIP tent. It was really fun. And I feel like the girls had a lot of pride in, it's different when you're competing on the same sand that you sweat and you grind on. Like just being able to prove a point and win games there means a lot more.
Of course, what does that recruitment process look like for those prospective beach volleyball players looking to play in collegiate?
The beach process really just I feel like we get a lot of emails from a lot of different kids. But I would like to encourage kids to, write to everybody, send highlights to everybody, and just be authentic. We really like when kids are like unapologetically themselves, and their emails are like a little goofy, or like Steve had a girl one time send him her like blooper video. It was after they had exchanged like a bunch of emails back and forth, but just being able to be comfortable enough to be authentic and to be yourself, because once you get on campus, if your parents are writing your emails, or if you're trying to be very like strict by the book, then you come on campus and that's not you, then that's not what we really signed up for. So we just really want everyone that writes to us to just be themselves. If you're weird, be weird. If you're goofy, be goofy. Like we love that. Everybody on our team is super different and we love each other and we all get along. And it's just fun to see through emails.
Of course, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes when going out to these beach tournaments?
We look for potential, athleticism, physicality, work ethic. Can you be a good partner? Are you easy to play with? How do you treat your parents on the road? Are you yelling at them to put up your tripod, or are you putting up your tripod yourself, kind of thing? So we really pay attention to like little details, but respect and confidence goes a long way with us.
What does that official visit look like when those prospective student athletes come to your facility?
For us, down the road, kind of sort of right now, we'd like to do better about, having our prospective student athletes come in and get to ride jet skis and get like that South Florida experience. Cause I feel like there's certain things that you can do here that you can't do at other places. And that's what we like to try to be bigger on. So we do that. We take them to a dinner on the beach. We usually go to like JB's and Deerfield, but just showing them like the beachy environment and how there's so much to do here, just endless activities.
Of course, what is that like as a coach seeing them fall in love with the Florida beaches?
It's awesome because that's what got me as well. I'm from Ohio, so when I came and visited FAU, the beach got me immediately, like just immediately. I couldn't even go visit anywhere else after FAU. I was like, this is where I need to be. So
What are some of your future plans as the assistant coach?
moving forward, I would like for us to continue to be a top 10 team, hopefully break down that top 5 wall and eventually win a national championship. I like to tell kids, when we're recruiting, like you can go to the same couple of schools and win, their fourth, fifth, national championship, but it's really special when you can do that for the first time somewhere else. And I would love to be able to build a team and a culture and continue to do what we're doing and, just set records with this team.
As an alumni and a coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that uniform for the first time versus the seniors?
So for the seniors, I feel like it's different. Like it's a dogfight. They bring a lot of leadership to our program and they're incredible. For the freshmen, it tends to be, the nerves kind of kick in and they realize like, I'm really doing this for the first time. Like, let's see how it goes. I think just like building that maturity when they're playing and getting them to find that place of calmness and peace when they're playing. I think it's really easy to focus on, your last point or the next point versus like point by point and just living in the moment. And we really try to get our freshmen to slow things down and to stay calm, because when our team is calm, they are really scary and they're really hard to play against.
Of course, what is that like as a coach seeing them go on to compete professionally on the AVP tour?
It's awesome. I'm actually currently competing with one of our alumni right now, Erica Brock. So it's really nice. It's fun because it's like, the grind never stops. You get a little taste of it in college, and then if you fall in love with it and you want to keep doing it, then that's just the beginning. And, the pro stuff afterward is a whole other story.
Of course, what are some of the future plans for the FAU's beach volleyball program?
Just to keep our kids happy and to keep winning. And moving forward, we're going to continue to have a very competitive schedule. we might be, even though there's 30,000 kids here, FAU still seems to be kind of like considered like a smaller school. And for us, just, telling people and showing the world that like you can come here and you can compete against the best teams in the entire country and we can win.
What advice would you give those freshmen entering their first year of beach volleyball?
Just to, find peace in the moment and slow things down. I think it's really easy to, get lost in stuff when you're a freshman. And the most important piece is time management. So school should come first. Volleyball is a part of your everyday life, but at the end of the day, just, your social life needs to come after those things. And if, your social life gets diminished as, things get heavier, then it just has to be that way. I think it's really hard for freshmen to try and balance a social life when they're being thrown into this like whole new world of like, okay, volleyball is going to take up this much of my day, school's going to take up this much of my day, I have to go to class, I have to do homework. Like if I only have an hour of social life, do I want to spend it taking a nap or do I want to go to the beach? I think it's just a lot of growing up in that sense, but they've been doing pretty well with it. So
what advice would you give those college seniors that are looking to go play professional beach volleyball, whether it's the AVP tour or going international to play?
I would say go for it. Like if you're going to do it, like go for it. Just face first, no regrets, just go for it. Say yes to every opportunity that you have. Say yes to a lot of things that might make you uncomfortable, whether it's playing with a new partner or going overseas to compete. Just say yes, do it, enjoy it, fall in love with it. Sometimes the hardest decisions that we have to make, the ones that make us uncomfortable, are the best decisions that we ever make. So I just encourage them to just go for it.
What advice would you give those players that are in college looking to go into coaching beach volleyball after their playing career?
Do it. Just absolutely do it. For us, we just want to see like the growth of the sport. And we feel like for the female athletes that had just competed, they might feel like, maybe it's too hard. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe I shouldn't, trying to go into coaching. But the truth is anyone can do it. It's not, it's difficult, obviously, but if you ease yourself into it, it's like the most incredible thing ever to just be able to give back to the sport. So go for a GA position, go for a volunteer position, like do it while it's fresh and just continue to be a part of the team that you just played for or maybe another team. But I fully encourage them to go for it just for the growth of the sport. It's an incredible thing to watch.
What advice would you give those coaches such as yourself looking to coach at their alma mater?
I would say if you can stay involved and find ways to stay involved, staying in FAU is the best decision I've ever made. I thoroughly enjoy it, so I really support it.
What advice would you give those future assistant coaches in beach volleyball looking to start their career?
I would say just, have an idea of like how much work it's going to take and allow yourself that time, but like go for it. It's an incredible experience just to be able to have that mentorship with, with other athletes and just be able to help, for me it was to be able to help them grow into, from young ladies into like mature women. It's been really fun.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you out on social media along with the FAU's beach volleyball program at?
Our FAU beach volleyball handle is just FAU Beach VB. And then I actually have an account that turned into like a behind the scenes of FAU Beach VB. And it's really just my name, Kristi Tekavec, with I think a period after that and VB. So yeah. Or just my full name is like my actual Instagram.
Thank you again, Kristi Tekavec, for your interview and best of luck in your future as the assistant beach volleyball coach at FAU.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Kristi Tekavec, for your interview and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.